Hello, and thank you for stopping by. Today I'm working on this Workforce power washer, 163 cc's, overhead valves. And if you thought you saw this once before in one of my videos, you're correct. I did a video on this power washer in my Trash to Treasure series. I got this power washer running. I have one that I picked up from I don't know where, somewhere, and the hose, and I've used it several times. I put this power washer away, drained the tank, and I took it out a couple of weeks ago to clean off a couple of pieces of equipment, and I wanted to do a video on how to store this for the winter, putting some antifreeze into the pump so the pump doesn't crack if it freezes up. Well, that didn't happen. When I went to start it up, it just wouldn't start. I don't know what happened. When I put it away, I was the last one to use it. It was running fine. I let it run until it ran out of gas. I kept the water running through the nozzle to make sure the pump didn't overheat, but it just won't start. So I just put fresh gas in there. I'm going to give it a couple of tugs right now to see what kind of response I get. It's a little warmer out today. It's in the high 30s, so I was able to take it out and work on it. So let's get to it. I have the hose hooked up. You always want to make sure you have your hose hooked up. If you run this without the water going through, you'll burn out your pump. The kill switch is in the on position. And let's see. I forget now if this had a primer. Okay, this doesn't have any primer. All right. I'm going to go turn on the water, and I'll be water's on. It's hooked up. See the water coming out. If this should start, I'll be running the water through it. Put this camera on a tripod. Okay, everything's all set. I'm going to prime it a little first. This carburetor was completely dry. I have the water connected. I have the choke on. I have this air filter off. If this doesn't start, I'm going to shoot a little carburetor cleaner into it to see if it sputters. If it doesn't sputter, then I'll check the plug to see if I have spark. But for now, let's see if it's going to start. You know, I'm going to try with the carburetor cleaner, then I'm going to check that plug. But it feels like it has a lack of compression on here. But for now, let me get that carb cleaner and see what happens when we spray some of that in. Okay, you saw that. With the carb cleaner, it started up, so it wasn't a compression issue. You can see the carb cleaner got it to start. It surged, ran for a little bit, then went out. I didn't pull back on the choke. That might have had something to do with it. But from the way it's running, I think it's a carb issue, where it's just not getting enough gas through it. There might be a little bit of a blockage in there. Let me try it one more time with that carb cleaner. Okay, it didn't even try to stay running. I'm gonna get this up on the workhorses so it's easier for me to work on and the video it for you. And as soon as I get it situated, I'll be back. We already have the air filter off, so to get this cleaner off, we have two 10mm nuts on here. I didn't think I'd be using this power washer again this year. Weather got so bad, and then we went from extreme cold to beautiful weather the last couple of days. See what we got in here. All right, we have that. Get a close up here. We get this carburetor out. We have to disconnect the choke and the throttle line. We're gonna have to remove this piece. So there's only one bolt holding this on. We might have to disconnect it from the governor. I must have pulled this off the last time I worked on it. Put it in there pretty snug. I don't think I used any Loctite, but it was in there pretty snug. Any parts that may fall out. Get this one screw. Pull this off. Alright, now let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm going to take this governor spring off. Already came out. And this choke should just up and out. Just come up and out. Okay, this piece came right out. We have the gas line and the throttle. Okay, get my pliers for this. Let's grab this. Pull that back. Okay, this is a little stiff. I'm going to put the camera down so I can get a container to catch this gas, and then I'm just going to prop the line up so it doesn't continue to flow. I'll tell you for certain it wasn't the gas line. Gas was pouring right out of there. And the gas line is something you want to check. I had a tractor one day I was working on. I took everything apart. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. It was the gas line closed up on the inside and was only letting a trickle of gas flow through. This is coming right out. There goes the gasket. Okay, this only has one way it could go back on. On some of these carburetors, they'll have several holes up here. You want to mark the hole that the spring goes to and that the throttle rod goes through. In this case, there's only one hole for each, so there's no issue. Okay, I have to put this camera down again. Okay, I'm working behind the camera right now. Ball off and see what we have. Okay, there's gas going into the carburetor. That's not an issue. What's happening when it gets in there? Let's see how we're doing this here. This goes towards the engine. Alright. Wow, look at this. Could you see that? This bowl's just rusted up. And I bet you that rust in there. Look at this gas. There's our issue. Okay, so it was a carb problem. Cleaned all this up and it just rusted right out again. This ethanol gas, I tell you, it's the pits. I don't have another bowl that I could put on for this unit. I might have to order a new carburetor. See if I have a bowl somewhere. What kind of carburetor we have here? Let's see. I'm gonna have to check to see if I can find another carburetor. Oh, you know what? Look at that, look at that. Okay, I don't know if the camera could pick it up, but right under here there's a pinhole. This actually rusted through. Or is that just shiny? No, there is a hole. There's a pinhole in this bowl. Let me see if I can point it out. Oh, this ruined my day. I thought I was going to be doing a video on how to winterize this unit before we put it up, and now I have to find a carburetor bowl. You see right over here, that's just scraped clean, but behind it, I don't know if it's showing up or not. I'll see when I upload this, but right behind this shiny part, there's a hole right here. There's a pinhole right there, so this rusted right through. It's incredible what this ethanol gas does to these carburetors. I tell you, one of the biggest scams in America today is this ethanol gas. Don't take my word for it. Research ethanol gas, the cost to produce it, what it does to the price of corn crop. The list just goes on. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. Let's see what we got here. All right, not much could be done without replacing this bowl, but I want to show you how to clean this carburetor out. In here, there's the emulsion tube. You see me working on a lot of Tecumsehs. They usually have a plastic one where you just press it down. The Briggs, they have it where, I don't know if it's picking that up, you need a screwdriver to fit in there. The screwdriver now has to be wide enough to fill that slot where it's going to strip these threads out of in here. If you strip these threads, this is finished. You got to buy a new one, which I might have to do anyway. This should come out fairly easy because it wasn't that long ago that I had it apart to clean. Yeah, here it comes. I had it apart to clean. If it hasn't been cleaned in a while, it's the first time it's being cleaned. These could be a bear to get out. If that's the case, soak it with some carb cleaner. Soak it a few times before you even try. Because once you strip it, that's it, it's done. Okay. Now here's your jet. And let's see if this is clogged. Now I can see daylight through it, so this jet isn't clogged. Wait, there's a little debris in there. They have these wires that you could clean these out with. I have it in the link down below. I usually use a bread tie to clean them out. They fit in there fairly decent. Yeah, this has a little debris in there. And now the emulsion tube should come right out. Maybe. Okay. Another area where you want to clean is right down in here. There's a jet down in here. Get that jet out. You have to remove the idle screw. This is to set your idle. You want to pop this out. It's starting to get a little cool out here now. Sun's going down. It's getting cool out here. Okay. Oh, this is the jet. On some of these carburetors, you would remove this, and then the jet would be inside where you would screw it out. But in this case, this is the jet, and I can't tell. I don't have a light on out here, but I don't see any daylight going through there. This is probably where the clog is. So I'll be cleaning this out, and we're spraying carb cleaner down in here, cleaning this out. You want to get carb cleaner into all these ports. I'm not going to remove the Welch plugs, because if I don't have to, I don't want to have to get a kit for this. I don't have any Welch plugs to replace it. And in here, I point this out in all my videos when I do a carb cleaning. Inside, if the camera's picking this up, this one has, it looks like three back there and one over here. You want to get something in there and clean it out. Spray carb cleaner in there, get the wire in there. Do the best you can to clean that out. When this engine's idling, that's what's feeding the fuel to it. So you'll get a rough idle with that. Here comes the emulsion tube. Okay. I don't know if you just saw that I pushed the emulsion tube down with the screwdriver. There we go. Now this, you can see all these holes. If you never did this before, you want to get a wire and clean out every one of these holes. Don't use a drill bit. You don't want to widen those holes. Let's see, can we see through there? This is clear going through, so that wasn't a problem. I can't tell with the light out here right now. The camera might be picking it up. If you can see through, you should be able to see through. You should be able to see some daylight. So each one of these, I'll get the wire and I'll go through each one of them. I'll spray carburetor cleaner and I'll do it again. Clean them out. I'll clean out this carb. And also, for those of you who do this on the regular, this is 101, but for somebody that's never done it before, they might not be aware of this. You pull this hinge pin out. Pull the float up. Oh, look at that. Look at that. The needle's actually stuck. You have your float. It controls the needle valve going up and down. That allows the fuel to go into the bowl of the carburetor. As the gas is coming in, it fills up the bowl. The float goes up. This float and pin should drop right out. Hey, look at this. Okay, look what we have here. I'm surprised it started. Look how gunked up that is. Now keep in mind, it was just a while back. I had this all apart. I had it cleaned, and must have been just a little bit of gas in it. This ethanol gas is the worst thing they ever came up with. All right, so I'm going to clean all this up off camera. Don't want to get any of that spray onto the camera lens. And there's not much else I could do until I get another bowl. I may have trash pick pressure washer that may have the same size carburetor. If I do, I'll take the bowl off that one and see if it fits. If it fits, we'll be right back working on this. If not, well, we'll have to wait for a new one to come in. So as soon as I clean this up, get another bowl. Well, I wonder if there's something I could do with this bowl. I'm going to kick this around a little bit. I may have an idea. Sit tight. I want to show you what I have. I cleaned this carburetor out. I got into all these ports, put the wire through, sprayed the carburetor cleaner, put it back together. The brand of this carburetor is, it's RUI, and that star, you put an X, ING. I have a link down below if you want to buy a replacement carburetor. It's to my Amazon store. Just a side note, if you have Amazon now and you go to my store, when you click on it, it'll go through your account. Doesn't cost you any extra, but it does help me with the channel. I do get a small commission on some of the things that you buy on there. But I have that, and I also have a link to the bowl for this carburetor. Now the original bowl, I soaked in this Evaporust. This is a product I used once before on a go-kart that I was working on. I had to clean out the tank. It was completely rusted. They didn't have a replacement tank. And now look at this. That rust is gone. Now this Evaporust, it tells you that you could reuse it again. This was used on that tank. When I used it, I didn't put it back into the original container. I have a separate container for the used, and the second time I'm using it. I'm pretty pleased with this product. Let me get this camera down, rinse this out and wipe it out. Get a better look at that. Okay, rinse it off in some water. This is supposed to be harmless, but it's always better to wear gloves. Wipe it dry. Now the finish on this bowl is gone. So with the ethanol gas, this is just going to rust up again. So I want to get another bowl. This sat in the solution overnight, so it discolored it a little bit on the outside. But look at the inside of this. I didn't do any scrubbing on here at all. No Brillo, no scour repair, nothing. This is all from the Evaporust. I have the link for that down below if you're interested in it. Look at that. That's something else. And the little pinhole, I just have a little solder there. I want to get this unit working. I picked up a couple of refrigerators that I'm going to be working on. I like to clean them out before I start working on them. And look at this. That's incredible. Look at that. I mean, it's discolored, but the rust is gone. So I'm going to put this carburetor back together, get it on that power washer, and see how she runs with this all cleaned up. I have this carburetor all together, but there may be a problem. Putting this jet back in, there's a little O-ring on the bottom, and it wasn't sitting just right. I'm not sure if it rolled up or not. I had a hard time pushing this in. And the way this jet works is that the gas is fed from the bottom, and it comes out to this port over here. So this still may not idle correctly, and if that's the case, I'm gonna have to pull this carburetor out and get an O-ring. I have O-rings that size, but they're too thick. I don't have one that thin that go on it. It may be an issue when I go to start this. Well, it's all together. Let's get it on and see what we have. All right, we're back. It's been a little over 2 weeks since I worked on this pressure washer. The temperature's been below freezing, and today I finally caught a break. It's in the high 30s, so we're going to see if that repair did the job. I have the water connected. You can see the water dripping out over here. I have fresh gas in it, and now we'll go start it up and see what we have. Okay, that's a hit. So cleaning out that carburetor, scrubbing out that bowl, that did the trick. But I believe I'm going to have to get a new bowl for that, otherwise the same issue is going to happen again. It's going to rust up with this ethanol gas, and I don't have any access to non-ethanol gas in the area. That's what I'm stuck with. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, give it a like. It helps tremendously. And if you have any questions or comments, post them down below. And I might have mentioned this earlier in the video, I'm not quite sure. Before you start these pressure washers up, make sure you have your water turned on. You don't want to have that engine running without water going through the pump, because you'll burn that pump out. And before you put these power washers away, you have to winterize it, unless it's in a heated garage or a heated basement. I'll be doing a short video soon to show you how I winterize it. So if you enjoyed this video, found it useful, give it a like, share it with someone else who might be able to use it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button. Until next time, stay warm and be safe.